Since I keep talking about how much I have been enjoying the LEGO Zelda collaboration, I decided that I had to make a display that will live up to the hype that I feel for the figures. I combined a few elements of past builds, but I added enough to make them something completely new. I made two watchtowers that also play a role as different point of interest to protect the main path to the castle. The idea that I have for this display is being able to make a lot of smaller builds that will work together with each other. On my new married life, I don't have as much time to goof around as I used to. Now my builds are becoming more deliberate and detailed, but with this method, little by little, I'm gonna be building Hyrule. It's hard to make a big project without the time or the space, but I can work on these smaller structures more easily and more often. I really wanted to make something that will be eye-catching because I wanted to display this on the living room, and I didn't want to get any pushback from my wife. And I'm really happy to say that the display has indeed been approved by her. There's a lot of things that I like about this mug, which is why I'm dividing this video in 4 different sections, so that I can talk about each one of them with more detail. I'm gonna start with the minifigures because to me this is the most important part. I feel like the addition of the warriors is what helps to tell the story. Here I have the general at the front with 2 commanders, then the captain with the soldiers, and finally the princess with her royal guard. I wanted most of these figures to be Hylians, and the main feature of these characters are the ears. I believe that I used all my hair pieces with pointy ears that I had on my collection to be able to make this army, but I'm really happy with the final result. I added an eagle and a monkey warrior to have some variety. I love how medieval fantasy really widens the range of the figures and the accessories that I can use for custom characters. In total, I have 6 regular warriors. For this guy, I just flipped the torso of the D&D Dragon Paladin. The necklace looks good, but the playing side works better when you're gonna have a few of these guys together. I still have like 3 more of these torsos to use for my warriors. If you have any suggestions, feel free to put them in the comments down below. Also, like the video if you're enjoying it, because that really helps a lot with the algorithm. But let's take a look at the first structure. This build is half recycled since I used it in one of my past videos, but when I moved to my new home, I had to take all my builds apart. I did try to keep my mugs together as much as possible, and this mug survived the trip fairly intact. The structure is pretty compact. The tower is not too tall and is really comfortable to handle. Since I plan on rearranging things often, I want everything to be fairly strong. I do not want to be stressing out every time that I'm moving something around. I had to come up with a way to make this structure look smooth since I used some pieces that are not very flattering from the back. But the end results look really good though. And I'm glad that I found a way to work around this issue since I know this is going to be really useful in the future. Like I mentioned before, I merged 2 mugs that I had together to make this tower. Despite not working on this at the same time, the mug still looks cohesive and it's probably my favorite one from the 3 that I made. This little pathway was shown on my last Zelda video. I really like how this looks as a display, but I did use a bunch of my leaf pieces to decorate the trail. I wanted to add some ruins to have something interesting to show besides the nature elements, and I feel like the pillars do that really well. I ended up changing my main idea for this mug. I wanted to make Hyrule before the Age of Calamity and the Big War, to make an army and have the structures not being all ruins. But then I thought that it might be more interesting if I did Hyrule after the events of Tears of the Kingdom. There's one thing about the Zelda games that has always bothered me. After beating the main boss in every game, you are always sent back to the point right before the last fight, if you decide to keep playing of course. You always have the option to go back and keep doing side quests, so I thought it would be cool to create a little lore for it. And I'm saying that this is Hyrule after the events of Tears of the Kingdom, working on the full restoration of the kingdom, and this is why we have both ruins and sandy towers so close to each other. For the third part, I wanted to make something taller, and I had this idea for a watchtower with different floors. This is one that is still a work in progress since my original sketch was actually more fantasy oriented, and I really want to go for that look. Regardless, this is a great standby piece for what I want to have on my display. I know that this is very simple on the techniques and pieces that I use, but it works quite well. I have been doing a lot of planning to polish this piece, and I'm very excited to start working on that. I want to keep some elements like the side balcony, but I want to exaggerate it even more. I might decrease the height just a little bit, or see if I can make better use of the pieces that I have. Regardless, I do like the terrain a lot. I wanted this area to be a little more rocky, so that things didn't get too boring on the environment. Making something that I'm so passionate about makes the experience so much fun and enjoyable. I will be working on this ongoing project for a while, and make as many updates as possible for the channel. I have some ideas to make the depths and the sky islands, and integrate them all together in one cohesive display. Having Link as a figure is still mind-blowing to me, and there are so many things that I always wanted to make as a kid, that were Zelda related of course. And now that I have the pieces to do it, and not only that, but an official version of the most important element, which is the characters of course. I might have to buy some more Lord of the Rings pieces and some older characters from the CMF series to have some more variety on my army. Also, I'm gonna mess around with giving the warriors different weapons and accessories to make them more unique. With my original idea of making Hyrule at its prime, having all the soldiers with armors and swords seemed like the most appropriate option, and I never got back to making changes to that. Currently, I'm working on other smaller elements that will help connect the wheels visually, things like trees and small pillars. I want to have a section with a river, but I'm trying to figure out an appropriate layout so that it doesn't look out of place. I want to connect this area that I created to the Korok Forest. In my next video, my deco tree will hopefully be completed, and the display is going to look a lot better. Since I have space in some of the shelves underneath, I want to incorporate the depths in one of those sections. And just like I have done in the past, I want to make another floating island to have a complete Hyrule display. If you're interested in seeing this process, subscribing is going to be the best way to find out when I post a video, because my schedule is a little bit of a mess right now. On that note, thank you for watching the video. I'm Beyond Lego. Peace out.